pulse, do engineering, get into IT, go abroad, and go to US and settle. It didn't work out for me.
Yeah. We have gone through a lot of guilt. Okay, so when Sammu was diagnosed with autism, we had a lot of questions for ourselves. Yeah. Maybe we did wrong. We did something wrong.
Whoever you meet in any public for gathering in a function, everybody would say, what happened? It's been 5 years since you're married, you don't have a kid. Okay. Are you getting treatment? And
at one point of time, I stopped going to all the functions.
Public,
yeah.
Hello, I'm Indira, and this is ParenTell. Every parent has a story. In today's episode of ParenTell, we are meeting Samanvitha's parents, Swathi and Shyam Sundar. Samanvitha is a 5-year-old autistic child. The story of Shyam Sundar and Swati as parents bringing up Samanvitha is something that I look forward to sharing with you. Also, apart from their own journey as parents, they have been crusaders. They have been trying to spread awareness about autism to make this society a better place for children with autism. So, without wasting more time, I would like to welcome them both. Hi, Shyam. Hi, Swati.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to ParenTell. It's my pleasure to host you today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I've always believed that all of us have stories to say. Stories of all kinds, not just parenting stories and stories within stories. And sometimes listening to stories is so therapeutic. You just feel healed. You just see shades of what you thought was unique only to you exist in so many other places, in so many other lives. So stories are so important, and these are real stories. So that's all the more important. Without wasting more time, I would want you all to get into listening to Swati and Shyam. So Swati, let's begin where it all begins. So where are you from? Can you tell us a little bit more about your early days, your childhood, your education, and also very importantly about your parents, because I think that's very important. I mean, they contribute so much to making who we are. And of course, I would want to hear from you also, Shyam. So let's, let Swati begin it.
Yes, I am from Salem, Tamil Nadu. Okay, I did major part of my schooling in Salem. And then I did my engineering in Tanjavur. And once my college education was over, I worked in Scope International, which is a subsidiary of Standard Chartered Bank. I worked there for 7 to 8 years. And in between, we got married. And yeah. So, and then we had Sammu in 2018. Yes. Yeah. So this is about me.
This is a quick short summary of all of those years, I guess.
Yes,
right?
This is a basic summary of me. And I like to, I like writing. I write about Sammu's autism journey in my social media page, and I write blogs and stories as well. And then I like to read books and then listen to music. So these are my interests, and I love to cook also.
Wow,
Yes.
that's nice.
Yes.
Just going back to your childhood, so who else in your family, you have siblings? What was it
Yes,
like
yes.
growing up years?
So I grew up with my grandparents till senior KG, and then we moved to my parents' place. Okay, but also then we had people around us always. So we had both pros and cons in that kind of upbringing, because in terms of security, we were like, even when my parents were working, grandparents were there to take care of us and everything. And but the other thing is, that is the only goal we had. And once Sammu's autism was diagnosed, we are more strong about that point, that Sammu should have her own identity, and she should not alter hers for our benefits or something like that. So that is the thing. Then I have a sibling. She's 8 years younger to me. So we have a great bonding, and I share everything to her, and she also she's mature and mature than me. So sometimes when I tell her my problems, she gives me uh, proper advice and everything. So this is about my family. We were all brought up, and we were all loved. Okay, my parents loved us very much. We got everything we want. We had better education, everything. And everything. But the thing that is past, generational.
Yeah, it is a generational thing, I suppose, right?
Yeah. That is not broken yet. So I am trying to break it with my child.
If I'm understanding you right, what you're trying to say is, despite all the love and affection and having people around you, there was always this little feeling that maybe, I mean, I cannot express whatever I feel, or I cannot discuss
yes. Because they have an idea like girls have to be
in a certain
like this. Yes, that is there. But in spite of that, we studied, we came up and everything, but still there are some restrictions like that. Okay? But I'm trying to break that with my child. Okay? I think she should. Earlier, I told that I love to write. Okay, so I express my feelings better in through writing than communicating. I think that stemmed up from this kind of problem, because I even now I hesitate to communicate, whatever
verbally
I
speak to people.
Yeah. So I write everything, whatever I feel, I write. Okay.
This is perhaps coming from that, from those
so
years.
I have heard so I have heard from many people that my writing is so emotional. So maybe because I had something in my mind, I can let it out freely through the writing. Yes. So this is my story. But once I started working, once I got my job, I had that confidence, when I was confident. Till then, I was so naive, I didn't, we didn't go out, okay, like, we had restrictions. We went out, but we were not allowed to roam with friends and all those things, okay. So once I got my job, I had that confidence to go out, go out and talk to people, right? All those things I got it once I joined my work. Yeah.
I think it's like the story of most women in India, where you start within certain boundaries, and those boundaries are very much education, and perhaps if you have a career, financial independence, that is when those boundaries slowly start disappearing.
Exactly.
I can.
And then we got married in 2012. Okay. It is an
Can I pause you here because I want Shyam to grow up now so that he can marry.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, please tell us about your where are you from?
I think I had an opposite kind of upbringing from Swati.
Okay.
I was the only child. Hardly any relatives were around.
Okay.
I grew up in multiple places. My father had a transferable job.
Okay.
So I was born in a small town called Pudukkottai near Trichy, Tamil Nadu. I grew up in Coimbatore initially for a couple of years. Then we went to Andhra, Guntur, Hyderabad. I grew up there. Then we again came back to Coimbatore. But all this while, my father used to travel for work. Travel in the sense he was always stationed outside our residence. So even when we were in Coimbatore at later point of time, he was in Haryana, Delhi, multiple other places, and he used to visit us once in 6 months, once in a year, kind of a thing. So it largely my mother who was running the show, I would say, in a sense. But later part of my schooling, I largely did in Coimbatore. And engineering, I completed my engineering from Coimbatore. Then I worked in IT for a couple of years. Soon realized that the formula which everybody is following is not working out for me. Get good marks in 12th, do engineering, get into IT, go abroad, and go to US and settle. It didn't work out for me. The job did not resonate well with me, so I had that itch to do something else, and I did prepare for getting into a good college for an MBA. I wrote CAT exams. I got into college in Gurgaon, MDI Gurgaon, and I did my management from there. Since then, I have worked in about 3 to 4 jobs, and finally, I'm working with a large private sector bank here in Mumbai. Yes. So before this, we were in Chennai. When we got married, we were in Chennai. We shifted to Mumbai about 3 years back, little less than 3 years back. So that is my story. So my childhood was, like I said, is a bit polar opposite to what she had. I always had friends. I used to roam around with friends while mother was busy with, she was also working. So while she was busy with her work, etc., I used to go play. And I was always independent by nature from my early stages. Going for tuitions, going anywhere, I used to go alone. I remember very vividly that my school, to go to school, it was a challenge because it was about 10 kilometers from my house. And we used to take a bus every day, not the school bus, it's public transport bus.
Public transport.
Because beyond a particular age, school bus was not available. It was available for the younger kids, and beyond that, it was not available. And we used to, and it always used to be full. We used to go in that rush, and we had to get down at a particular point, and from there we had to walk about 2 kilometers every day to school. There was no public transport from that point onwards. And that was a busy intersection, busy junction where we had to go. But we all kids, we were together. We were about 5-6 of us going from that same starting point to the school. We were all together. We went in that together, and we used to come back again in the evening 2 kilometers back to catch the bus and come back. So I was fairly, I would say, independent when I was brought up. And I mean, that's how I have led my life without any restrictions as such.
Quite different
but
from.
But in Tamil Nadu, we have this concept, right? You need to score good marks in 10th, good marks in 12th, good marks in engineering. We both did that.
Yeah.
just
that was the main aim. Yes, that was the main aim for our parents, to get good marks in 10th, 12th, engineering, settle for a good job. if possible, go to abroad and then get married, get a child. That thing is there. That is, yes.
I think Indian society largely goes like that. In certain places, it could be a business orientation. In certain places, you get educated and make a professional career. You become a doctor, like you said, maybe an IT professional and things like that. But that as if life is a staircase where you have to go one step at a time, whether you want to go up or not, or you just have to do the next thing. That's how we are conditioned to think. And then I can completely understand what you're saying. And like you said, the inches happen sometime and you realize, I don't want to do this. I want to take another direction. That's true. But Shyam, just going back, you said your father was, largely away from you. How do you think that did that impact you in any way in your growing years, or now when you look back, you think maybe your dad had been around more, that would have been different, or you just don't see anything?
Yeah, I think it, apart from making me independent and more responsible, I think I wouldn't say it impacted negatively in any way. He used to be, and we used to speak regularly. Whenever he got a chance, he used to travel. I have made trips independently from Coimbatore to Delhi on my own to visit him. Yeah, so I boarded a train in Coimbatore and I went to Delhi where my father picked up. It's a 2-day journey. I took that. So I think all of that happened. I don't think it impacted me negatively. It just made me, I would say, more responsible and independent. Yeah. So my grandfather was there with us after a certain point of time. Okay. My mother's father. After my grandmother passed away, he came and stayed with us. So there was a male member at home support. Yeah, and he was a government employee. So he retired as a government employee, so his pension was there. He used to support us financially also. I think both of us were very, we come from very middle income, middle class family with middle class ethos and middle class upbringing. Always, both of us always had what we needed, but I think almost never what we wanted. So whatever was needed for growing up, there was no, I think, shortfall for anything, either getting good books or getting a good uniform or food, or I think those things were, I think the parents endeavor to provide that and provide best of whatever they can in that. But it was never a luxurious life for us. So that, for both of us, I think that is true.
No, for me it is quite different. My parents were both working for a public sector bank. So from the early age, they started with the reading habit. So whenever we go out, they get us lot of books. Yes. So this book reading habit started from the childhood only. So they get us whatever we want. But maybe that luxury life was not there, but we had everything we wanted. So,
but I think what we wanted at that point also was conditioned by the way we thought. We did not ask for the moon. And we were generally the kind that would ask for probably an additional eraser, nothing more than that. Like that's how we were conditioned, more or less. I'm just trying to think of those times. I'm definitely probably looking at my childhood and talking, but yeah, similar places that we grew up in, so I can relate to quite a bit. So yeah, so you are you both got married in which year? 2000?
It's in 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
And so somewhere in India, I think we prepare for everything, but we don't prepare to be a spouse, or we are not trained to how to be a spouse or how to be a father or how to be a mother, because we just take it, like you said, that this is supposed to be done after this, this is supposed to be done after this. Are we prepared? Am I ready to take up that responsibility? Because when I marry, I'm not just, it comes with a lot of other questions are asked of me, right? can I spend day in and day out with another person? How compatible? How will I resolve the differences? And when I become a parent, how do I take up that responsibility? Because we pretty much relate most of our familial kind of relations to joys. Oh, I became a father and I was so happy. I became a father and there are a million things that I need to manage. So how do you look at how those initial years after your marriage? And I mean, I think that journey also is very important for all of us, right? Before the child kind of comes into our lives. You were in Chennai then? You were in Chennai then?
Yeah, so how it happened is, so I was working in Delhi after my MBA for 2 years, and I had just changed jobs, and I shifted to Chennai when I first met Swati. Then I think it all happened very quickly within about.
Yes, you know how that arranged marriage thing works, right? So we met in July. And engagement happened in August, and October we got married. Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty fast. I never knew Swathi before I first met her. But
we were relatives.
We were distant relatives. Yeah. So my parents and my grandparents knew Swathi's parents and Swathi's grandparents long back. It was not very close. They used to meet once in a while in an occasion somewhere and things like that. But yeah, so it all happened.
Have not met.
And my grandparents and your grandparents.
Not at your generation level.
Yeah, not at our generation level. We got married and we settled in Chennai. I also was new to Chennai. She was working in Chennai, and for about 2 years she was there in Chennai before that.
3 years before the marriage.
Yeah. So that is how, and then we started our, I think, married life, and it was mostly like on-the-job training kind of stuff rather than
absolutely.
Because we didn't have any idea, right? We didn't have any idea about marriage, and don't even ask about parenting. We didn't even know what. We decided we will get to know each other well, and then we will plan for it.
Yeah. So that was one thing we were both clear, I think. At least initial 2-3 years, we should not be thinking about a child. We should first be more comfortable with each other, understand each other better, and then probably think about a child. So that we were clear. But our parents had their own
there were external pressures. Yeah. But still we were very clear, and for 3 years we didn't plan for any for a kid.
So largely in those 3 years, I would say we were like
focusing on work,
focusing on work, living at home like two bachelors too.
Every Friday we go for a movie, and we were always traveling and exploring and all this stuff.
So you got those good 2-3 years to know each other better before kind of taking the next big step.
I think marriage changed for us, right? We were like, okay, for next 3 years we should not plan anything, and we should enjoy our life, and we should travel. And we travel to lots of places, right? That time. And we were having now we cannot even imagine such life with Sammu around, but that was the golden period for us.
I think that is true for most couples. When children change our lives completely. As long as you're an involved parent, your life just completely changes. You cannot do all of those things that you did earlier, and somewhere the one-on-one relationship between the partners becomes a one through the child. It's not a direct relationship in most cases, I feel. So you had lovely 3 years. That's really
despite I think there was that this thing pushed from the other members of the family that what happened. It's been a year, you haven't had a child. You have to have a child, then you have to buy a house, then you have
buy a house.
Then then you have to plan for another child. And I mean, they had that straight jacket.
I mean, we had our own plans and they had their own plans. So,
yeah. I think from there to coming here where you're saying, I don't want Sammu to live our lives, Sammu has to think of and do and whatever she wants to be is the change that has to happen in this world. I mean, seeing you both, it makes me so happy that the place will be a better place, right? Your thought process is so different from your parents' thought processes, which is what I mean. Generationally, we should move ahead, right? We should not get stuck.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah, this pressure to bring the next generation into our lives has been constant earlier. I guess I understand that. So then what? I mean, how Sammu happened, and can you take us?
Then it was, I would say, I think Swati will add a lot to this. It was actually a struggle for us. I think
after 3 years,
about 2 to 3 years, we struggled getting a child. I mean,
when we started planning for a child, it was difficult for me. It was a struggle for us. So we did a lot of fertility treatments and everything during. I mean, after 3 years we planned for a child, but Sammu happened after 6 years.
Okay.
6 years of marriage after 3 years. Okay, so those 3 years was like a struggle for both of us personally, because we had to numerous doctor visits and then going to work and again, focusing. It was difficult for me to handle that. Okay, so I had 6 failed IUIs and 1 failed IVF. Okay, so after a point, I was like, what is the point? Why do we need a kid if I had to struggle like this? So that point, I took a break from my work. And then I told my parents and their parents that I need a break, okay, because I was not mentally well, okay. I was not happy as before. I was depressed and everything. So I wanted a break from all of this. So I took a break from work also. And then we again started to travel. And, we wanted to live happily and this thing. So we started to travel, explore. And then after 6 years, I conceived naturally.
Yeah.
So that pressure got us, that.
Even though I think after one point of time, the parents stopped following up. Like they understood that we are struggling, we are under pressure and stress. But then whoever you meet in any public for gathering in a function, everybody used to ask, what happened? It's been 5 years since you're married, you don't have a kid. Are you getting treatment? And
at one point of time, I stopped going to all the functions.
Public functions.
Avoid this.
I think in at least in the previous generations, the way at some of the relatives both sides, and there is no boundaries, which personal boundaries which they. I mean, this question, I think I would hesitate to ask anybody even closer to us. Even I would hesitate to ask if I had a sibling that, okay, so many years have been happened, why did you not have a child?
Yes.
But I mean, everywhere we go, we used to face that question that why no child yet? Why are you delaying? You should have a child. You will get old, then it will become difficult to raise a child, and all of
you
this.
You are already 30.
And it was a difficult time for both of us to handle the world, to face that every day.
Yes.
But ultimately all is well.
We both suffered. There was a point when they said my IVF thing was failed. We both broke down, right, in the car. We were so silent. And I remember in the middle of the road, we stopped the car and I started crying, and we also broke down, okay, because it was too much for us. Because it was not because I lost a child or something, because all the pressure and everything was too much for us at that point of time. I still remember that day. Yes. And then we took a break. We said we will take care of ourselves. And then we again started traveling, exploring things. We went out, and then after a year, I got conceived naturally.
Yeah. I think even the ecosystem outside the family, everybody, I feel mostly everywhere, I think people are in it for the money. Even at the hospital, they were immediately after the first IVF, they were asking us to go for another IVF immediately. And IVF, I'm not sure about what the cost of it is now, but it wasn't cheap. It was very expensive procedure. And they were pushing us and forcing us to go for another one immediately after the first failed this thing. And nobody cared about what we were going through emotionally at that point of time, about with so many failed fertility treatments. And I mean, we at that time, we desperately wanted a child. Not just that everybody is forcing us, but we wanted to become parents at that time. And we were like, there was a question mark at one point of time. We felt maybe we will not have a child, but then
I think this is a period where I mean the social settings made a very large impact on, and I see this happening. I mean all the time, and like you said, there are no boundaries. There is no respect for the other person's sensibilities. I mean you just get asked any kind of questions. People would call you for ceremonies where someone is having a god barai, that kind of thing. There's a lot of insensitivity that goes into how you expect couples to sort of become reproduction facilities after marriage. I mean, I'm sorry to use very bare language, but yeah, that's what it is. It's such a lovely thing for me to hear that after you went through all of those things, and when you started relaxing, when you became yourselves, you didn't have the stress of it. Things just happen naturally. I'm not saying that this anecdote will apply to everybody. I'm not trying to be a medical doctor giving any wrong ideas, but I think stress is a major ingredient into whatever is happening in our lives these days. And I'm sure that's something that you saw for real in those years, right? So now we finally have Sammu. So tell us about Sammu.
And then I conceived.
Pregnancy was also not easy.
The
pregnancy.
So the thing is, I went through a lot of fertility treatments, right? So those hormones, because of those hormones and all, my health was not so great at that point of time. So when I conceived, it was really difficult for me because first when we went to doctor, they said that a heartbeat was not there. Okay, for the child, the heartbeat was not there. Okay, so and then my diabetes level was so high. Okay, so they were considering aborting this child. Okay, but
this is gestational diabetes. You did not have diabetes before.
No, we had gestational. It is diabetes.
We had diabetes. We found out both of us had diabetes during the time of fertility treatment.
I mean, this is what a stress and pressure could do to anybody. Okay. So we had, but during that time, my diabetes level was so high. Okay, we didn't know that, but it was so high, and doctors were they wanted to abort a child. But luckily, there was another doctor who is a dietitian. Okay, she helped me with all this diet, and I took 3 insulin every day, to keep my diabetes in check. So
how long?
And after 15 days, the heartbeat was filled. Okay. And that is one thing. And another thing is like physically also it was difficult, and mentally also it was difficult because my uncle had passed away at that time. Okay, he was close to us. He's a very sweet person, and he had passed away. But the doctors asked me not to, to be so excited or too upset during the pregnancy. So I kind of stuffed all the thoughts within myself and try to deviate from, this thing. So it was difficult for me emotionally as well during that period. But then my pregnancy was smooth up to one point. After 6th or 7th month.
Yeah, that's it.
6th month, they said that I had a single umbilical artery.
Umbilical artery.
Single umbilical artery.
Usually there will be 2 arteries, but I had only one.
Only one.
So the connection between the mother and the child. There are 2 pipes, actually 3 pipes which go. 2
arteries and 1 vein.
1 vein. 2 for getting the food to the child from the mother, and 1 for all the bad stuff to come back. So out of the two arteries, only 1 was functional. So the child was not getting the normal level of nutrition as the child should get. So that was an issue.
But my mom took sabbatical from her work, and she was with me throughout the pregnancy. So she was helping me with everything. Okay, even though she lost her younger brother, she was with me. Okay, and giving me all the positive,
the
thoughts
support,
and
moral.
Yeah, it was a difficult period for everyone in the family, but still we survived somehow. Okay. And
and we had Sammu. I mean, I think by our luck or by God's grace, we had a wonderful set of doctors at that point of time. So even the doctor who was looking at Swathi for diabetes and the other doctor, gynecologist, we had a fantastic set of doctors who were
they were so kind. They took care of everything, and
they gave us a lot of confidence to go through the pregnancy, and so that really helped. And Sammu was born in December 2018.
2018.
So Sammu was a full-term baby.
The thing was like, we wanted to become a parent. We wanted a child, but we didn't know, how to go about it. The parenting part, we didn't even think about it, because we had at that point of time, with lot of stress and pressure, we wanted to have a child. I wanted to get pregnant and have a child, but I didn't think about the parenting part. The later part,
getting the child was like a destination, right? I mean, getting the baby, the journey afterwards. I think most of us are like
about parenting,
So tell us about, how Sammu was as a little baby, and I mean, the initial years, first year, second year. I would love to hear all of that. So you are still in Chennai, right? After
we were still in Chennai. The birth, Sammu was born in Chennai. Then Swathi, Sammu then went on to stay with Swathi's parents for about initial 5-6 months.
Postpartum for 6 months, I was in my parents' place, so I can get help and support. Right. So in Chennai, I have to be alone. So I wanted help and support. So I went to my parents' place. Okay. So in my parents' place, my mom, dad, and my grandma was also there. My grandma is one person who never sleeps at night. So I was having a good night's sleep. Okay. Usually they struggle, right? Initial days of pregnancy, but I slept so well because my grandma will take care of
Sammu when she tries.
And whenever she's hungry, she will come to me and wake me up. So my postpartum was like very smooth. The 6 months after delivery, it was very smooth.
That's actually something very nice to hear, because I mean, personally, I had like really a torrid first 6 months, and I've heard so many stories. But after all your struggles, the first 6 months were smooth for you, which is so nice. And you would visit on and off. How were your first 6 months of seeing Sammu, Shyam?
I used to visit almost
every week.
At least once in 2 weeks. I used to visit. I used to travel from Chennai to Salem, be there for the weekend, and then come back to work on Monday again.
Felt like coming back?
Sorry?
No,
I never felt like, no. It was very difficult leaving when Sunday evening, Sunday night comes. It was very difficult. I think Many times I realized that we realized that Sammu was also having that.
Yes.
She was sensing that I'm leaving, etc. And she
knows that. Whenever he leaves from our house, Sammu's face will fall. She will feel low.
Yeah.
Even during that initial, months, she was so expressive. Sammu was a very expressive child, and so whenever he leaves home, she will be sad, and then she will laugh.
But then after 6 months, they came back to Chennai.
Actually, I had one thing very clear in my mind, that I have to bring up Sammu without any help. See, my parents were willing to help me or support me, but I was very sure that I can handle her. So after 6 months, we moved to Chennai. Again,
and since then, I think apart from regular visits from grandparents, till now, I think we have been bringing her independently without help of any maids or anybody to be there. I think Swathi has sacrificed a lot. She hasn't still gotten back to her job. Because of what Sammu needs and required needs of Sammu. So but then we were sure we wanted to bring her in our own way, independently, and not loan the parenting to somebody else. And we felt that we needed to be more in our childhood than just being a parent in the morning and evening. So somehow that thing was, we were sure, and since then we have been bringing up Sammu independently. And what happened was that this was, I think, 2019 mid. I think about June, July is when Sammu and Swathi came back to Chennai. And we had a period of about 6 to 8 months before COVID happened. So and we were stuck alone only anyway at that point of time. And that entire period from 2020 till we moved to Mumbai.
We were at home.
We were at home, more or less. We never ventured outside. We were extremely cautious because we both had diabetes even then, and during COVID.
So we were also very careful, and so we didn't take Sammu out anywhere, but I made sure that we play a lot at home. Okay, and Sammu likes books. She doesn't read, but she likes when I tell a story to her. She listens. Okay, so we read a book to her, we play, we do a lot of activities, and she also was very, she does everything. She's an independent child only, because since 7th month she's a self-fed baby. I never fed her. Yeah, she's self-fed and everything. She was growing perfectly and ticking all the milestones at the right time.
You were still in Chennai, and COVID was, it was the COVID period, right?
Yes.
So those.
I think until then, we didn't have any serious parenting goal. Until then, we didn't have any serious parenting goal.
It was all happening naturally. Just a natural journey.
Yes, because we thought she's doing everything well, so we were going with the flow. But once she was diagnosed with autism, we got more conscious. We wanted to be. Nobody can be perfect, but we wanted to learn more things for her, right? We started observing her more. Because
can I just ask a small question before you go ahead? When did you sort of start thinking that maybe we need to check with a doctor or someone? Is Sammu any different from other children of the same age? When did it occur to you? How did you sort of take the next steps? Because these are important things that, parents that may go through such a journey would like to, understand how did that happen?
I think in 2021 January is when Swati's sister got married.
2020.
2020. Yeah. So at that point of time, it was all normal. We didn't feel that Sammu was any different than another child. What children
because
usually
she
do.
was very expressive and
she started
points out everything. In fact, she was communicating also.
One or two syllables she was trying to say, repeat whatever we were saying, etc. And we thought everything was fine.
Yeah, and even during COVID time, we do a lot of activities. And whenever I read books, he will also repeat some words.
Repeat the words.
Yeah.
All the activities, many of the activities which Swathi did was like a puzzle type of activities, and she used to solve those puzzle kind of things, etc.
But at one point of time, she stopped talking the little words she had also.
It was all of a sudden, somewhere in 2021. All of us, after she was about
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Yeah. At that point of time, we started noticing something different that she
used to sit alone. I mean, she's an active kid. Okay. Even now, she's an active kid. During that time, she was a very active kid. She used to play, and she asked me, she points things out, and everything she does. And suddenly, she started sitting alone. Okay. And she will stare at the wall continuously. And she stopped talking. She stopped conversing with us, right? She stopped, and the activities which she was doing also, she stopped doing everything.
Yeah. So you saw a sudden change in whatever she was earlier doing. Also was regressing.
She started regressing.
Yeah.
So that's when
we were still during the COVID time. I think the second wave, immediately after the second wave, somewhere in I think 2021, May, June, July, the second wave was much severe, and there was a lot of deaths, etc. In the second wave.
The family also.
The family also, her grandmother passed away, and a lot of things happened. So we were very careful. We still didn't go out. We didn't. I think the main lack of mingling with kids of our age, going out and playing and seeing the world, I think all of that took a toll on Sammu. Somehow that is what was strongly we feel something has happened during that time, that being alone.
We don't know the reason, but
nobody knows the reason. I mean,
but only we were clear about one thing: he has a problem, so we wanted a help.
Yeah.
So immediately, even during that severe COVID time, we took online therapies.
Okay.
So in Chennai, we found out a couple of occupational therapists who could take speech therapists who could take online sessions, and we bought all the equipment which was required, and we used to do along with Sammu. And therapist was instructing us through a video call how to go about, and they used to observe Sammu and give recommendations on what next to do, etc. We did try that for about, I think, 3-4 months. We tried till we were in Chennai.
She was doing well also that time. Okay, and then we shifted to Mumbai.
Yeah.
And once we came to Mumbai,
pause a little bit because this is something very important for me because, because of I do meet a lot of parents and. You made it sound very easy, like as if you found out you kind of it got diagnosed and you started off therapy and you always wanted a solution because there is a problem that needed to be addressed. This is how you looked at it, but most of the time,
the diagnosis didn't happen at that point of time.
Diagnosis because still, around 2.5 years old, nobody will diagnose.
But what was the therapy for then? I mean, because you mentioned the therapy to me.
Speech. She stopped talking, right?
Okay, the delay in speech. It was only the delay in speech, and you acknowledged that, and you kind of wanted support to support her for that. Okay.
Yes.
That was what was the stage when you were in Chennai, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we were primarily focusing on her speech. Okay.
Speech.
Somewhere in the mind, I knew that she's autistic, but we didn't.
How do you say that?
She used to research a lot, see her behavior patterns, etc. And sudden loss of speech, sudden that staring to the side. A lot of those small things which we used to observe in Sammu.
We had doubts, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So
usually about, I think, whatever we have spoken to the doctor usually suggests diagnosing or making a diagnosis only after about 3.5 4 years of the child.
Because usually around 2.5 to 3 years, almost every kid will be having a behavioral issues. They will be exploring their emotions and everything. So they usually make autism diagnosis after 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So when you moved to Mumbai, you are, you're coming over to Mumbai, and then you're still starting back with the therapies for speech. That's where we are, right?
Yeah.
So we moved to Mumbai.
And again there was a regression pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, because
so he was improving, and then again they started regressing. Maybe because of the new environment or
changes.
Something.
Yeah.
That after coming to Mumbai, I think 3 days after coming to Mumbai, we wanted to look for pediatrician. So we went to pediatrician here, and he immediately told us that your kid might be on this spectrum. You can contact these doctors. So immediately we took her to Dr. Hiranandani Hospital, and they diagnosed. They didn't diagnose actually. They evaluated her, and they said she has a lot of sensory issues, and and they recommended a neurologist, and the neurologist diagnosed autism for her.
So this is happening in 2022.
Largely in 2022.
22. When Sammu was going to be 4 years of old age. By 22 December, she'll be 4, right?
Yeah.
So this period is when you are going through this journey of understanding what's happening, what are the changes, what do we need to do to understand what is she going through, how do we work around. Before, offering support and solutions, you must have gone through a journey of, like you said, reading up a lot, understanding a lot, because that would have been very important for you at that stage, and even later, I'm sure. So, what was it? How did? So tell us about that. That journey where you started understanding what is this and what is she going through and what do we need to do, because that must have been a very important step in, of course, understanding it for yourselves, because that is another thing, because I do see a lot of parents struggling because they don't understand what it is, and there is a stage of not being able to accept it. I won't call it denial. It's more of not being able to accept it. I walk on the road and I always believe that there's not going to be an accident which will involve me. Although I know accidents do happen on the road, right? So that's our way of coping up with risks. That's our way of looking forward to positive things in life. So we always tell ourselves, this is not going to happen to me, whatever it is. I fly in the aeroplane and I'm not thinking of accidents, right? So the same way we all try to be in a zone where we don't accept things. So this awareness and the acceptance, if you can just take us through that part, which is very important, for parents like you.
Yeah.
For all parents, rather.
Yeah, actually, then she got diagnosed with autism. We were broken first. Okay, I think we were in a denial mode for a long time. Okay, because I didn't know what went wrong. Okay, see, we didn't know about autism. That is the first thing. Okay, so we have, as a society, we have some assumption about autism. Okay, we have a different definition for autism, right? Because we don't know. Okay, that is the thing. So even I was like that. It took long time for me to understand that it is not a disease. She's going to live with it. Okay. The thing is, only thing is, we need to support her. Okay. We need not tweak her. We need not force. We should not force her to do anything. We should not. It is not a disease. It is not a mental problem or something, mental health problem or something. Okay. Because autism is is totally different. Okay, it is like it is an identity for many of them. Okay, but this understanding, actually, there are a lot of searches in Google, but it was not helpful to me at all. Okay, but then I joined some communities. Okay, in Facebook, in Instagram, and there are a lot of support communities. Okay, where there are actually autistic people there. Okay, so they were giving. I mean, through them only I understood what autism is and what I should do.
Autistic adults, you mean autistic adults who were part of those communities?
Yes. So through them only I started understanding what autism is and how I should support my child. Okay. There was a point Shyam used to tell me that, okay, you should not worry about what, see, autism is there. Okay, now what we are going to do about it? Okay, all you can do is support your child. So let's focus on that. Let us not focus on the problem. We should focus on the solution. And yeah, so then only we started giving her a lot of therapies. Okay. Yeah. I started learning things from the therapist as well. I used to ask a lot of questions, and they also helped me with a lot of things, and that's how the learning happens. Okay, so it is like a continuous learning process. We learn, unlearn, learning and relearning things. Okay, this is what.
Even though doctors were constantly guiding us, and I think at least the neurologist was very clear about what we should as a parent have expectations or not with the child, and they said this is what you should do for her and this is what you should expect her. Don't expect a miracle that she will be normal in a year's time or so. Do not have any kind of expectation. Some kids take 3-4 years to get at least say 70-80% of our normal kids should be. Some kids take longer, but despite the length of time, they are going to be autistic for life. They will have those traits. They will have scenarios where they are uncomfortable with. There will be always things they'll not be okay. They'll not behave like a normal child will behave. So you should mentally be prepared for that kind of life going ahead.
Fact, is what the doctor they wanted us to go through the behavior therapy.
Yeah.
You know.
They had therapies for parents.
With, behavioral therapies for parents.
For parents.
For parents.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it is important to find a doctor who doesn't give us a lot of hope or
false hope and false ideas.
Yes. They should give a right thing. They should guide us with the right thing. They should not say that she's going to be okay.
She'll be all right. Don't worry. I mean, that false sense of hope, if they don't give, as far as we stay in reality, that reality is that she's going to struggle for her life. Majority of through her life, she's going to struggle on lots of things. But that's okay. We'll have to help her cope up with things, and we have to equip her so that she is able to cope up with those things independently. I think that is our main focus.
We have to find right things for her and do right things for her. That is the thing, right? So I think that is our focus too. We have to find the right environment, right place, everything for her. So that she will be fine. That's it.
So I somehow, when I'm talking to you, I always get the feeling in a lot of these things, particularly related to, having a baby or, later Sammu and the challenges that you face with Sammu, you both have probably had pretty similar thought processes, not very, very different from each other. I mean, because I have met parents where, one parent is accepting and wanting to work on the child with therapies, and the other parent or the larger family says, oh no, she'll be all fine. Your dad was also like this when he was young and he was all fine. It's just a phase. So there is that, a period of a year or two that gets lost in this debate about that the simple fact that the child needs help. Let's help the child. So what was it for you both in terms of how you helped each other, or I mean, what was it?
I think largely both of us are pretty open-minded in that aspect, that we were open to input from therapists, doctors.
Since the pregnancy, since we were trying to conceive, we were clear about certain things, that anything related to our health or something, we have to discuss it first before it goes to third person. Right? So first, even when Sammu was diagnosed with autism, we discussed everything. Okay, we went through that denial mode and then came to that acceptance mode. We came to that calm mode, and then only we told everyone around it, around us, right?
Yeah.
Because we have to be in a right mental frame to explain it to the elder people in the family, right?
Yeah. Like exactly like you said, many of them said it's just a phase. Your uncle was like that. Somebody in the family was like that during 4 years. They didn't speak. Then they suddenly started speaking at the end of the 5th year. So don't worry, things will be all right. I mean, that sense of advice and those things were there. But after that initial 3-4 months of diagnosis, where we were trying to cope up ourselves, then we were both on the same page. We understood. And whatever Swathi was the last. She was doing most of the research. That
we were in the same mental frame before revealing to others. Okay, so we will stay together on point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if somebody is giving their opinion, we will stay together on the point. We will not deviate ourselves. So we were very particular about that. And
all the community from which Swathi was getting advice, etc., she used to share with me. I used to then probably read up a bit and then try to understand how to handle Sammu better. So we used to always discuss those things. And so it never, like you said, I think it never felt that both of us were on opposite sides of a point at any time. We always were clear what next steps we have to do for Sammu, etc.
Yeah.
I think having a doctor, a set of doctors who are very honest and very clear to you, good therapists around, and you both being clear about what you want to do, what you have to be doing to make it better for Sammu. I think all these three came together in a way that things have been moving very positively for Sammu. When I say positive, in terms of helping Sammu,
normally we are like, we have difference of opinion in all the matters, but when it comes to Sammu, we are like, we are on the same page.
Because you should have on other matters, otherwise life is going to be boring.
I wanted to be clear on that.
Okay, you cannot take this video evidence and say, Shyam, tomorrow that you have to agree with me on this. So those differences will continue. And jokes apart, I think that's really been a critical element of how you both have been such involved parents who have understood what is required and then taken the steps that are required to help Sammu. So can you just talk a little bit about the therapies and how critical it is to get going with that, and how much of it can be done and supported from home? Because I guess many a time I do see children who need support going to therapies, but it remains limited to those 2 hours, 1 hour per day, and then the child is back to a routine where the benefits that come out of it get discounted, because you're again into a routine where you probably have access to screen and things like that. So the whole effort doesn't actually help the child to the extent she or he should be helped. So if you can tell what has been that and how is it going? I mean, it's a continuing journey, right? Like the therapies and the support systems that you've created around Sammu.
Yeah, actually, we take her to occupational therapy, speech therapy, and earlier we went to aqua therapy as well. Now she's not going there. So earlier she had, she was staring at the wall. She had what is this visual stimming. Yeah, so she sits there like that. Okay. So it is mostly because she's having some sensory
need at that point.
but she's trying to calm her down by doing those things. Okay. This we understood later only, but earlier I thought it was a problem. Okay, but then the therapist made me understand that it is her way of coping up with the sensory overload. Okay, and she had lower muscle tone, for which she needed occupational therapy. Okay, she's also hyperactive. You know, she's diagnosed with ADHD. Yeah. So she's hyperactive. So we went to aqua therapy. So it will calm her down and also help her with the muscle tone. So for physical part, we went to occupational therapy, physical and sensory integration. Because Sammu was not. I don't know if you remember. She had a lot of issues with food and oromotor, everything. So those are because of the sensory. So she was not eating certain kind of certain texture of food. Yeah, and then she was not okay with some textures. Okay, and she was not okay with certain cloth material, fabric of clothes. For all those things, we went to occupational therapy. Yeah. Okay. And for speech, we went to speech therapy. Right? And aqua is for physical activities. Okay. And now she's going to social skills session. Okay. So that she can learn how to be in a group, learn sharing and all the stuff. That's basic play-based therapy.
Play-based.
Yeah. I think autism is what rightly called it's a spectrum. I think every child has varying needs in all the things. I mean,
no one child in the autism spectrum will have the same problem, right? Every autistic kids are different. Yeah. So to know what your child wants, you need to go to the therapy. Or at least learn from them so that you can do at home, something like that.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe that for any problem, the early intervention helps.
Yeah.
So we started with the therapy early. We are still doing with for past 1.5 years, 3 years. Right?
Almost 3 years.
For almost 3 years, we have been doing therapies. And
I think it's about identifying one problem at a time and dealing that problem for the next few weeks or months. And then during that time, you'll identify a few other issues and you continuously keep working on each problem at a time, each behavioral issue at a time.
See, the focus is not to make her okay, but the thing is like she has to handle herself, right?
Yeah.
In certain situations. Now, earlier, whenever we go out, because of the sound, he used to have a meltdown and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So, after going to therapy, we found out a way. Okay, we discussed about this issue. We found out a way, and certain point of time, whenever we go out, we put noise cancellation headphones on her. Okay, that was helping her to some extent.
Yeah.
Okay. She was like cooperative, and now we are not using that also. So every time it changes.
Yeah. So you have to actually get the child, equip the child to deal with the problem, and once you realize that the problem is more or less the child is capable of handling, then you find out a way to remove all that extra support, etc. you've given for that problem, and then wean her off those things so that she can then handle it like a normal kid. And this is the same with every problem, because she had so when we were going out to a noisy or a crowded place, she had to deal with a lot of inputs, noise, a lot of people around, sweat and multiple things. She couldn't handle all of them at the same time. One point we eliminated, like Swathi said, is the noise. Through the noise cancellation phone, we used to play our favorite music, and she used to listen to that music while she still had to deal with the crowd and sweat and other
Then
things.
we understood that she had lot of sensory urges. So whenever we go out, we give her some snacks, crunchy snacks or something she likes to chew.
Yeah. Okay. There are some toys, etc. also which comes, but it didn't particularly work out for Sammu. So to figure out what works for us, it took time. We tried few things, and then whatever worked, we went along with that. Those options we discussed with the therapist. Okay, this is not working. Should we try this instead? They used to give the inputs, and then we used to research and do all of that.
So basically, we were looking for how to support her in those kind of environments.
Yeah.
Right.
First, to identify what is bothering her. What can I do?
How
then
can
bring
I
the support system and let her deal with it on her own. So, and then move to probably the next thing that you can deal with. And with the help of therapists and your neurologist, you would have taken this systematically.
Yeah, they give some nice advices. That's why you have to find a very good therapist also, because they give right advices.
I think it's just not therapists. At this point I would say the school also helps a lot. I think everybody around her, I think
we are grateful that way, no?
I think one thing which we didn't talk about is, I think these kind of facilities, etc. I am not sure how they are in all cities across. Whether these kind of support she would have gotten in Chennai, or that we are very grateful we moved to Mumbai at the right point of time where Sammu can get access to these facilities and this support, and she could find an environment where everybody is at least understanding and not. I think in multiple places of the city,
it is not a taboo or kind of.
It's still seen
in
as taboo.
Chennai, I have faced that when Sammu was going through the speech therapy, right? So they were like, "Are you going to therapy? Are you taking her to therapy?" It is like the word therapy is like a taboo over there. Okay, but here I have not faced such things. People are very open and they talk about it. Okay, I mean, at least in the therapy center, we all talk about it, and people are open about it. They are trying to understand Sammu. Sammu has really cool friends. Okay, they are like, their parents are also very understanding. So they ask me before I play, we go to a play date, they ask me what I can prepare for Sammu. Sammu has a different food interest, right? So they ask me, would you like to play in a swing, or everything they ask me. So people are very understanding and open about it. So I think I'm glad that I have a good
especially I think whatever we have spoken to all the doctors, a lot of doctors have said that since COVID they are seeing the influx of lot of kids having some issue or the other, sensory issue or some issue or the other. And because of that, I think the understanding within the community is also improving, because they are seeing multiple children having that issue. I think people are now able to understand that, okay, this child might have some issue, and they learn to deal with it. They learn to deal, or they speak to the parents on how to deal that.
They are vocal about it. I mean, about autism and everything. They are vocal about it, and
I think like they used to say in the old, I think to bring up a child you need a village. I think that is really true in the sense, for Sammu at least it is really true, because whatever she does in therapy, what flows at home and at school, and whatever feedback we get from school, we pass it to the therapy. And it's become a positive loop where each of them probably find a problem or a solution which will help someone ultimately, that okay, she's dealing with this, so then we find out a solution and we try to implement it, and then the support is there across that. So I think that kind of establishing that positive loop, I think it good that there are acceptance of communities there, but I am pretty sure that Swathi struggled in multiple places to bring that awareness to the community, to the parents. I think she's constantly in Instagram trying to remove that taboo out of that. I think, if you see her Instagram messages, many of the parents who comment on that say, yeah, my child is also having this issue. And till now, I didn't know that this was this reason, or I didn't want to put this up in a public forum. I'm very happy that you did it for us. And now that acceptance is there, then etc. Because they are also fighting the similar battles at their home, where their older generations are still considering this as a taboo, etc. And all of that. So I think that is a gradual journey where the communities have to improve. And yeah.
Yes.
I guess I am very grateful to you both, because to be ready to open up, to be ready to share this journey. I mean, obviously, you have been doing a lot of it through Instagram, trying to create awareness, trying to tell people, look, you're not alone. I mean, this is okay. I'm going through this, and we are dealing with it, and my child is happy, and I can see this. I mean, giving that sense of a mirror where you look and say, okay, you're not alone, is something that you've been doing, but it is definitely not something that is easy. I mean, it's easier said than done. It's like crossing a huge bridge, which you have done. And
if you generally see about social media is usually a place where people talk about accomplishments or happiness. Only those incidents are joyful things. Only those things are posted in Instagram or Facebook. People post about their vacation. People post about their achievements. People post about the party which they've been through. People celebrate their birthday, etc. Nobody posts their struggles, their failures, their things. I think when the media is there, I think you have to utilize it properly. And I think one thing, at least the initiative which Swathi has taken to post the struggles of Sammu, I think that is an good way for others also to follow suit, and rather than just, I mean, if you see people post that my kid can probably name all the flags of all the countries, and as a 2-year-old kid, I saw a video of something like that. And people are posting that, it gives a lot of anxiety and guilt to other parents. Oh, why is my child not doing this? Why the other child is doing this? And that becomes a negative competitive loop, and every children is then forced to do something against what the natural talent of the child is.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, something which is very important. You have to recognize.
Yeah, I think that's true. Okay,
so I mean, I hear you when you say that this kind of taboo, this kind of looking at a child who has different needs in a different way, in a way that it is as if it is not okay to be that, is still there in our communities. But like you mentioned, COVID, and because of the increase in the number of children with different special needs, the awareness has also increased. So I can also see that 10 years back, how this would have been looked at, and how a child who has special needs is being understood today is a lot different. Like a friend of mine who had moved to Singapore on an assignment, had a baby there, and in the first 2.5 years, the child was diagnosed with ASD, and he was there for another 6 months, and he was supposed to come back to India, and he just decided that I'm going to stay back here for the next at least 4-5 years, because of course, in terms of the treatment, in terms of the medical facilities, therapy and all of that, it was at another level. And also in terms of the community, having to respond to every elder in the family or in the community or in your building about why is she different, or why is he different in his case, was something which was a lot to deal with. But I guess even he might have a slightly different opinion today if he were to take a call. Things have improved. I'm not saying have changed a lot. And I'm sure you would also sort of agree with that. What I want to also ask you at this point is, what has changed for you as individuals when you became a parent, and also when you became a parent of a child who had some special needs? So, I mean, that called for another level of involvement, another level of, it's literally a lot of hard work. I mean, there's no denying that, right? You learned a lot. You've done so much. So, as an individual, so when I look back at my life, I mean, I have two children. One is 18 years old and the other one is 12 years old. When I look back at my life, I really can tell for sure that I am a better individual now than I was before I became a parent. And I'm a better individual when I became, a second-time parent, when I was more aware of what am I doing and why should I not be doing this way. And all of this also happened because I started reading up. I started meeting people who spoke to you about parenting, about how to actually think about parenting, not just act as parents, but think about parenting and then act as parents. So as an individual, I'm a better person because I've become a parent is something that I can say. But how do you see this? And of course, my life has changed because when you are a parent, you are no more just so that is there. But the joys of it are so much that you don't actually regret it in most cases. Please tell me what has changed for you, Shyam, as a person, and Swathi, you as a person.
Yeah. So I think parenting, I think the first time when I took Sammu in my hands, I realized that I'm truly responsible for another person in this world now. Even though, we were, when we grew up a lot, there was no responsibility on us to support somebody. Always parents supporting us, etc. And even when we married, we were two independent people working, even though we were supporting each other in a way. But I'm truly responsible and I have to bring up a child and be through, throughout the child's journey as they become an adult and then etc. That really sunk in when I first, I think, I took Sammu. And I think I think parenting, I would say it's more about prioritizing what is important for a family, for the child, rather than what is the best solution at that point of time. I think sacrificing something or the other, maybe sacrificing a better job because the child needs something at that point of time and that can be only provided in that place or something like that. I think those decisions are all important, and those, I think, thinking from a long-term point of view, thinking from child point of view, how it is going to help the child and what we should do to help. I think those things have come about rather than thinking mostly selfishly, I would say, for our own benefit. So that is something which has come about as being a parent. So I think after Sammu was diagnosed through autism, I think it's more about taking that baton for, even though largely it's being done by Swati through the Instagram, this thing, mostly taking the baton. So that I think especially after Sammu's diagnosis happened, I think the responsibility we have as a parent has, I would say, increased manyfold, because not just supporting Sammu through therapies and giving water needs. I think it's largely we are trying to now form a community, actively work with the community and bring her up in the community and educate the community so that this kind of special needs children are accepted. So that is a struggle I think we have taken up, and we have to go on with it for the life. So that is something I think which has changed in us, rather than it saying that it's not our problem, why bother, or just saying that it's only Sammu, let's focus on Sammu. Instead of just doing that, vocalizing the need of Sammu. When in a public place, somebody looks at Sammu differently, somebody asks us a question, why is she behaving like that, explaining them the reason for the behavior, explaining them that the child is different, and this is how we are working on it, and bringing that education awareness is something we have taken it very seriously, rather than just avoiding the situation or not going to a public place or things like that. I think we want to
stand up for her and support her fully and support her needs, and Right.
And children like her, not just her, going beyond Sammu.
The thing is, I don't want to want Sammu to live in a enclosed space or environment. I want her to. I mean, it is a struggle for an autistic. Okay, that thing is there, but still, I want her to explore a lot of things and do a lot of things in spite of all those struggles. So that is the one thing we are focusing on.
I think that's a great service that you're doing, not just to Sammu. I mean, as a community, to be more more sensitive, more aware, make the community around us more aware, more sensitive to children, to autistic adults as well. Because I mean, it's a forgotten fact, or most of us don't even acknowledge that adults are going through. I mean, children who have grown up through this or even diagnosed later are facing such struggles. And there's so much that we need to do in terms of just being able to understand and accept, and of course, then support. So I think what you have been doing, Swathi, if you can, share your, I will obviously try to put in the notes about your handle and everything, so that more and more parents can also, obviously there are a lot of people that follow your journey through the Insta handle. We'll share that as well. While we talk, there's a lot of talk about struggles and how things changed for you, and life is a little different. There would have been moments when we would have thought, why me, why us, why did this happen, and all of that. But you both have kind of navigated that and come to a position where you have realized and you are working to make it better for her. But at the same time, there's been a lot of happiness and joy, and that is there and that will be there, and that's what keeps us going, right? Like, tell us about all those happy moments, the happy. I mean, there'll be anecdotes, there'll be frames that are still stuck in your mind the first time, she did something or you did something with her. The happiness of just being a parent. I mean, that cannot be described in words, that I know, but I'm just asking you about.
One good thing is, like, after her autism diagnostic, every little thing she does brings joy in us. Okay, so we are so happy for whatever even if she picks up the pencil, we are happy. Even if she scribbles, we are happy. Even if she tells we are happy. So all those little moments is bringing us joy.
Yeah.
And we are cherishing every little moment of her. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I capture her. I take videos of her. I send it to my friends. I send it to my family. I like to share my happiness with others also. And yeah.
I think what it made us realize was childhood is something to. I mean, a lot of things children do which people discount because the child is normal. People always have a higher target or a higher this thing that okay, my child is first, then I will celebrate, rather than even if my child has passed an exam, we should celebrate.
I think we don't have such milestones. We just go with the flow, and we enjoy every moment.
Yeah, I think if Sammu was normal, maybe we would have been like other parents putting Sammu through that pressure of going through multiple tuition classes and multiple things. I think
maybe we would have been like like our parents, scoring good marks, going to good college, and planning such things. But now we don't have such aspirations. Yeah. Okay, so whatever she does,
I'm sure Sammu will do something. She will achieve something, and she will shine whatever she decides to do. But yeah, like Swathi said, we try to find joy in small moments, small achievements of Sammu, small wins we get every day. How she handles
even whenever the school sends videos or photos to us, we are so happy. I immediately send it to him. Did you see this picture where Sammu is there? And we send it to our parents. We send it to my sister. Look there, Sammu is there in the corner playing. So such things bring happiness.
Yeah. So I think that constant sense of positivity has to be there with parents, and the child also has to feel that positivity around her. So that she knows that she's doing something good and it's being acknowledged, and just not like shied or just not pushed away. I think those things are acknowledged and she is able to recognize. I think that is important. That is something which we have to focus and give the child, that it's not that whatever the child does, we celebrate everything, but you have to be disciplined. You have to discipline the child also in certain scenarios. But celebrating those moments also with the child is very important.
Yeah. I mean, what he's trying to say is we have boundaries with Sammu as well. Okay, like we have that boundary, but in spite, I mean, I'm not strict. Okay, I mean, we raise voices in few scenarios, but because we have that kind of boundary, but she is also starting to understand that boundary. But also we celebrate every moment, small moments with her, to make her feel, included. Yeah.
I think many of us make the mistake, not as parents, but as mistake of assuming that an autistic child is not taking in emotions, is not taking in inputs, and kind of ignore the child's existence around us. So what you're saying of celebrating, creating those positive vibes, because she's constantly taking in, these children are constantly taking, their output might be in different ways, might be less compared to other neurotypical children, but they are taking in a lot of inputs, and those have to be positive, those have to be reassuring, and that is what you are.
There is this huge misconception that autistic, and especially non-speaking autistic kids, they don't understand anything. Okay, this is such a big misconception, because they understand everything, they understand every emotion, just that they cannot express it well as we expect them to express. Okay, they do it in other ways. Okay, so that is the problem. They understand everything. Every little emotion Sammu understands.
Yeah.
And suddenly she will express it in a different way. Okay. So it is sad that many people think that child cannot understand anything, because they are constantly watching and they are constantly observing things.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe there are different ways. Okay, but they are constantly doing what they want to do, right?
Yeah. I think as a parent, I think one thing we have to understand is that rather than what we say or what we ask the child to do, what we do and what we demonstrate is what child picks up.
That modeling things and
so right? Rather than saying or saying to the child that you have to follow rules, etc., rather than saying that you follow the rule and say, this is the rule, this is what I'm doing. That is helpful to the child, and that gives an example better than just saying it. So
maybe we should do with them, do along, if you do activities with them, they will observe in one way or other. Okay, right?
Yeah, they say, I mean, 90% of learning at early ages happens to.
We need to find the right way to, because Sammu is, for example, Sammu is non-speaking. Okay. Even I have thought that maybe she's not observing anything, maybe she's not learning anything. I have been through that phase. Okay? But then later I understood that she is a good visual learner. Right? She learns from the pictures. So then I started doing flashcards. I teach her things, whatever that is taught in school, I teach her using flashcards. Okay, and surprisingly, she will point it out correctly. So it means that she's learning from the school, but she is not able to express in a normal way. But when I showed her the flashcards, she's able to point it out. So we need to, find the right way to,
help the child,
support their learning or anything in that aspect. So that is what I understood through my parenting journey, because it is like a continuous learning process. We as a parent should constantly keep learning, unlearning things and then again relearning things. We have to keep doing it with our child.
It is an evolution. It's a progress that we have to make to help the child also keep moving ahead.
We should also keep evolving ourselves along with that child. That is yeah.
So I think what you said about being happy people, being happy around her, being happy, showing positive energy around the child really feeds on to the child. The child is happier to do things, being acknowledged, being just making sure that we are there for her, that whole sense of somebody acknowledging me is something very important. The positivity of parenting, because it can be quite stressful doing all the effort that is needed to support a child who's having some special needs. It should not play out in front of the child, and we need to enjoy the process, enjoy playing with her, enjoy jumping with her, or whatever that is. I'm just saying what comes to my mind is something which is very important, is what I understood from what you're saying. So your positivity is rubbing off in a very positive way. Her, and so she is happy and she's able to process her feelings better. I've been asking a lot of questions, so I think I want to ask, is there something that you want to say in particular to parents in general? Because many a time, because most of the parents that we are talking to are going through the journey of stressful professional work, stressful city life, like you said, constant pressure of family, social media to be the best in everything. There's a lot of stress as such in the lives of people, in the lives of parents. And if there is an extra requirement to support a special needs child, there is even more stress. So, what is it that probably comes to your mind? What do you want to tell, or what do you want to share if there's something that you want to say?
So I want to tell that there are good days and there are bad days too. Okay, it is for everybody. Okay, so when there is the bad day, you need to maybe, what can I say, like you have to let that moment pass and then focus on good days, right? So everybody has bad days, everybody has good days, but we have to go through it, right? And parenting is also like that. Not all days are great, but somehow we need to take the control of it, and we will learn through the process. Okay, one thing I understood in my parenting journey is that I should not compare myself with others. Okay, my way of parenting is different from others, right? What another mom does to her child, I cannot do it for my child, right? I mean, because of the situation, all those things. Okay, so we should not compare ourselves with others, and also we should not compare our children with other children. Okay, so that will make the burden, lessen your burden, right? That thought itself will lessen your burden. If see, the one thing I was when I had Sammu, one thing I was so sure that I should not succumb to the peer pressure. Okay, because she will be going to schools and everything, and I don't want to put her in whatever classes other kids might go and everything. I think we were very sure about that. Okay, so we should not compare ourselves with others. We should do what we want with our kids. Okay, and we should support their needs. That's it. That is my parenting idea.
So
we should be supporting our kids rather than comparing ourselves, our kids with other kids. So,
yeah. Do you want to say something, Shyam?
I think largely what I'll echo what Swathi say. I think having less of guilt is also important. Don't be guilty if the child doesn't do something. Don't be guilty you have not been able to provide something which somebody else is providing.
We have been through that phase earlier. Yeah. We have gone through a lot of guilt. Okay, so when Sammu was diagnosed with autism, we had a lot of questions for ourselves. Yeah. Maybe we did wrong. We did something wrong. we went through lot of this.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it didn't help us in any way. It didn't take us anywhere.
Yeah.
So
So that and the point that the child will point us or lead us to the direction which the child wants.
yeah,
Be always open and keep listening and keep seeing what the child needs and keep observing the
you
child.
just need to follow the child.
Observing the child and try to work on what the child's interests are. I think that is something very important, rather than we taking the child through a particular journey, particular route, trying to see where the child's interests are and trying to align the support to her in that, her or him in that way. I think that is more important. And I think in this world where lot of us, even though we are living in a so-called society buildings, etc., with that sense of being together, I think is missing a lot. I think being together with the community, taking support, giving support to the community, and being bringing up the child. That way, I think that is also important, rather than I mean, I see a lot of places where nobody knows who the neighbor is next door, etc. Things like that is there. So I think living in a community, being involved in a community, and having that bringing that sense also to the child that she is part of something larger. She is not focused on herself alone, and she has to. Now she is in the way, she needs a lot of help from the community, but she will be in a stage where she can help somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah. So that I think that these principles and one thing which I said earlier is, rather than saying something, setting an example and doing that yourself, simple things from following traffic rules in front of your child, rather than breaking signals, things like that. Like a lot of small things, like taking responsibility, putting trash properly, disposing of trash properly, whatever it could be. Being an example and demonstrating it is much better than I think just reading books and giving advice to the child that you should do this and not this. So I think this is what I would say to a parent.
A lot of points to ponder upon, because about not going through obviously we all go through guilt journey at some point or the other for various reasons. We all end up comparing our children, comparing our parenting, trying to probably make our child live our lives and our aspirations. So
yes,
all the things that you kind of pointed to, and which we should as parents try and avoid, and of course enjoy the whole journey. Like you said, one day is good, the other day will be, this too shall pass, right? Nothing kind of stays forever. So I think a lot of things to take home for me. Also a lot of things I hope listeners would, viewers would have to process. Thank you so much. Before I just conclude, I just wanted to ask one quick thing, which I'll probably I'll quickly ask. I think from whatever I have been discussing with you, I have found you both to be parents who have read a lot about it, understood autism, and tried to look at it from a scientific lens, from a medical lens, and understand it as a condition which needs support. But as with everything, whether it's diabetes or cold, there is a lot of pseudoscience and a lot of, inputs and advices that keep coming to us. How have you been able to deal with that? Because that's something that I often find happens with pretty much any ailment, whether it was COVID or whether it's a common cold. People have some or the other advice, and it's not just people, because of the the strength of social media. It just comes to you in torrents that you start believing that is science and that is the way it is, and all of that. So how did you navigate that journey? Because that's very important, because I still see a lot of people talk about a lot of conditions as we can do this and this will happen, and we can do that and that will happen. So that's something that I just want to
see. I think it's, if it's something which we see, which says ki maybe if you deal with this situation this way, it will help. If it is something harmless, we don't mind experimenting that. We try it, something very simple to do, harmless, not taking time. We will try it and see whether it works or not. Not the crazy stuff. I'm just saying something. Some they say if you have this toy, it helps them in this stressful situation. Something like that is there. We experiment, but most of the time, what we found is working with through Sammu's therapists, doctors, seeking their opinion, seeking their guidance in generally. Not that we ask every question to them, but in general, understanding that this is the situation, this is the behavior, what all are the gamut of things which we can do. It will not be one solution which they'll just point us to a direction. Okay, maybe you can try A, B, C, etc. Then we go about in understanding each of the points on those points and figuring out what is best and what is experimenting, trying a couple of things with Sammu, working whether it works or not before committing too much. I think that is how we have approached.
Yeah. For example, Sammu is non-speaking, right? So our neurologist suggested that she might be speaking, she might not be speaking for now. So you need to explore non-verbal communication methods. Okay. So there are several methods like sign language, this AAC app, and a lot of methods are there. Okay. So first, I went to my therapist. I told her that this is what neurologist told me. So first, we started with that AAC app, and it didn't work for Sammu earlier. So then we were open to explore other methods. Like we started using flashcard methods, and then gestures. Okay, and then she after a point when she was comfortable with the flashcard method, we again started introducing AAC to her. Okay, now she is like kind of accepting that. Okay, so we should be open to all the methods, and we need to choose the right one for us and then try. I mean, if one particular method doesn't work for you, you need not give up on that. You can try it later. Maybe try something other.
Give it a break and maybe come back. She wasn't ready perhaps at that point.
Many things are like that with Sammu. Okay, even the activities. Okay, certain activities she never does. Okay, but suddenly she started showing interest in doing those activities. So we start giving that, and then she will get bored of it. Then I will take some other thing out. So it's like we give time to Sammu. Okay, it's not like she has to do it immediately or something like that.
But one basic thing is we have to accept before doing anything is there is no cure. There is no tablet or something medicine which we can cure. If somebody says you should try this tablet, we will not be foolish enough to try that.
There is no quick solution for.
Yeah, but we are open to trying methods of helping her, coping her. But we know which is, I think at least our education has helped us, we know which is pseudoscience, which is proper science, and the doctors have guided us, I think, right from the beginning in the correct direction. And so that has helped us to differentiate between what will work, what is good, what is bad, what is true, what is not true. So that has helped us, and then being open to ideas and observing the child and working on them is something which is
Great. I just wanted to mention that point because that kind of pseudoscience pressure comes also from the community, from the family, from people who probably don't have a full understanding, and that pressure eventually does fall upon parents, right? You could have tried that. Why didn't you try this and all of that? So unless we have a very clear head, very clearly understood what we are dealing with and how we are going to deal with it, we will go into those crossroads where we are a little confused. So I just wanted to ask you about that. So thank you so much. Thanks, Swati. Thanks, Shyam, for sharing this, this journey of yours, journey of Sammu. And I'm sure there are loads of joys to be discovered along the way. But your most important contribution, apart from what you're doing as parents, is spreading awareness in the community, making sure this world is a better place for children and children with special needs. So thanks for sharing your story. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for having this. Because I remember once we came to Mumbai, we didn't even ship to house. The next day we put her in rickshaw.
That's so kind of you to say.
I was part of many online groups. Okay, so I got good reviews, and we didn't even ship to the house. We were staying in a hotel, and next morning we came to rickshaw and put her. And rickshaw has been so kind to her. I mean, starting from the staff, all the staff, everybody are so kind to her, and she also enjoys going to school. Okay, and this is such a safe place for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I'm not so much of a believer in destiny and fate and all that, but I guess there was destiny why I met Sammu, because Sammu has made me a better person. I mean, this is something that I say from the bottom of my heart, because our children make us better people, and children like Sammu really open so many doors to us for us to think and make ourselves better and more sensitive individuals. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.